Hey guys, it's Halo553. Welcome back to another Beyblade X unboxing and review. Today we're going to be checking out the latest UX release from Takara, that being Bullet Griffon. Now we'll go over the packaging quickly. As you can see, the packaging for this is a bit bigger than we're used to. Got a very nice image of Bullet Griffon, plus with it split up, bounce type, and then on the back of the box it goes over everything we get in this set. So it explains how the gimmick works with Bullet Griffon, how it splits into two. And then for the parts, we of course have the Bullet Griffon blade, and then for the bit, we have Hexa. So let's get into this release. So here is Bullet Griffon out of the packaging, the first UX Expand Bay that we are getting. So this is a very interesting balance type, and honestly, I think this is definitely a very interesting step for what we will see in the unique line. But let's now take a deep dive into all the parts that Bullet Griffon comes with. Now we're going to start off with the bit today, which is Hexa. Honestly, really great bit to get here again in the starter pack. Hexa's a really heavily used balance type bit right now. It's been used pretty heavily ever since it first came out, so really happy to see it. While it does slide around a little bit and can be a little bit unreliable on some bays, its stamina is really solid. There's a reason why people have been running this with Blizzard Rod lately. But yeah, really happy to see Hexa here. Honestly, really great bit to get here in a new starter pack. Now let's focus on the main attraction, the Bullet Griffon blade. So this is a UX balance type blade, so launch hooks are plastic and the metals won't allocate it to the outer weight distribution. This is also the first UX Expand Bay, so what that means is the ratchet is integrated into the blade design. So similar to the ratchet integrated bits, but this time with the blade and ratchet. Now obviously main downside is you can't switch the ratchets out, but honestly the gimmick this has is really cool. So you have to launch it with it together like this, but when it does take enough hits, or big enough hit, the top half, the bullet, I guess you could say, shoots out with a spring-loaded tip, lands on the stadium floor, and then you have two bays, which is really cool. So the top half, which is bullet, is classified as an attack type, and then Griffon, the bottom half, is classified as a defense type. So really interesting design here. Now I will point out the points when awarded in battle is always going to be determined by the bottom half, because that's the bit. So if the top half goes out of the stadium, you can still play on. But yeah, this is a really interesting day. I'm actually really excited to see how this goes. It's going to be interesting to see if people can actually make this work. But honestly, I am loving to see that we are getting more gimmicky bays. I think it's really cool. With this combination of parts, it makes Bullet Griffon a balance type. But let's now head over to the scales and see how much Bullet Griffon weighs. Alright, let's now get some weights for Bullet Griffon. So the Hexa bit, that weighs 2.56 grams. Now for the Bullet Griffon blade. So we'll start with the top half. So top half weighs, as I drop it, top half weighs 33.01 grams, so that's a decent weight, I would say. And then the bottom half, this weighs 27.97 grams, so about 28 grams. I don't know how to feel about that. I honestly feel like a lot more weight should have been on the bottom, but even so, I think the weights for both of these isn't the worst considering its gimmick. Now let's put them together. So all together, this bay weighs 60.97 grams. So that is pretty heavy, but keep in mind the ratchet is integrated, so it is definitely accompanying a bit of a weight. But even if you don't factor that in, this bay definitely weighs over 50 grams, which is insane. This is one of the heaviest blades now. So add in the bit so you can see the full combo. It's weird not having a ratchet on this. It's really weird. then altogether, Bullet Griffon weighs 63.48 grams. So, just to give you a bit of perspective, the Cobalt Dragoon from the J League, that weighs 46.03, and my Mummy Curse combo with 150 Hexa, that weighs 45.38. So it does give it quite a big weight gain with these parts. It's really touchy. That's one thing I really don't like. But let's now head over to the stadium and give this some test spins and some test battles. Alright, now we're going to do some test spins and some test battles with Bullet Griffon. So I'm really interested to see how this bay goes. Alright, here we go. Now, being on Hexa, it's going to stay relatively in the center. But I mean, given how much weight there is when it's all together, it's staying relatively stable. Now, granted, that can always change once it's actually in battle. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting bay to test out. But I am worried about the breakage issues that have been getting reported online. Just hoping I kinda don't see that today. But that seems to be the norm when a new release comes out. There's always an early report of breakages and whatnot. But granted, we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be a case with every single Bullet Griffon that comes out. But, well, let's try them out in some test battles. Oh, there we go. Split apart. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, there's the bottom half out of stamina. The top half, I mean. Wow. So that worked really well. Just checking. Yep, no stress marks on that. Granted, that wasn't that much aggressive contact between them. There we go. Off. Oh, and it's over. Whoa! Man, that really does shoot out really quick. Wow. Oh! Well, there goes the top half. Now it's just the bottom half battling. Because all the points when it comes to the battle will be determined by the bottom half. Wow, it actually takes that pretty well. Whoa! Wow, the recoil from the launch lost rod into the over pocket. Wow. Up. Yeah. I just want to see how the bottom half goes. Not the bottom half, the top half goes. Even though Griffon basically lost this already. Gotta see how. So that's a good amount of stamina on the top half, considering it's basically on a low flat tip. Yeah, that's some. Yeah, the stamina on that's. I will say that's pretty impressive. Whoa! Wow. The gimmick really creates some really interesting recoil. Oof. Well, top half's done. Yeah, the recoil from when the top half launches, it's enough to destabilize. Oh, one immediately knocked out the top half. Let's see how the bottom half goes on its own. Oh, that cut it a bit close. Top half's done. Wow. Oh! There goes the top half. It's bit good to see how the bottom half goes, though. Wow, it outspun. Not bad. Oh, there goes the top half. Oh. So that's it for my look at Bullet Griffon. I think this is a really fun bay. I think the gimmick works really well and can actually be pretty battle effective if you let it. Some people have been doing some pretty good work with this on Merge lately, which is a big surprise. But really happy with how it turned out. Now, I do have some problems with it, mainly with the locking of the two halves. It is very touchy and easy to undo when you're trying to put it on a launcher, for example. I would have liked to have maybe had a little satisfying click to help lock it in, just to make it a little bit more secure when you're putting it on a launcher and that. Granted, that could have inadvertently making it harder to split apart, but it is something that does bug me a little bit. Now, there has been also some QC issues reported with the bottom half's launch hooks. They've been getting stressed and torn. I did not have any of those issues with my copies, but it is something to be worried about, or more wary, I should say. But even despite this is a really fun UX bay, and I'm really looking forward to see how the expand system continues with UX. I think this is going to make UX even more fun. I think we needed more gimmicky bays, and I'm glad Bullet Griffon is a gimmicky bay that actually seems pretty practical. I'm actually really looking forward to trying this out at some tournaments. So my final thoughts on Bullet Griffon are really good. I was going into it a little bit wary, thinking this is not going to be great because it's being a bit more gimmicky, but it's a gimmick that works really well, and I'm very surprised with. I do wish it locked a bit better when you put in the two halves together, and the stressing of the launch hooks on the bottom half is a little concerning, but overall, it doesn't detract how I feel about this bay, which is really good. I do recommend you pick this up, either this version or the upcoming Hasbro release. With Rocket Griffon, I think you'll be happy with either release. This is definitely going to be a very fun day to use. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Beyblade X videos in the future. And until then, I'll see you all in the next video.